episode of Puwede Magtanong. And we will spare the usual audience the usual ad by playing it now.
Sawa ka na ba sa unactivated Windows mo? Well, lucky you! Pinakabago mula sa cdkeyoffer.com. Windows 10 and Windows 11 activation codes. Legit, safe, at pinakamura. Madali lang umorder. Hanapin ang Windows version na gusto mo. Piliin ang preferred payment method. Wala pang 5 minutes, nag-CDK ka na para sa Windows mo. Marami na kaming natulungan.
Dati, sad and depressed ako. But now, I found the love of my life.
Dati, aimless and walang purpose ang life ko. But now, I'm a world-class Zumba instructor.
So, web developer ako and content creator for a YouTube channel. And ngayon, ganun pa rin ako pero activated na yung Windows ko.
Kaya kung naghahanap ka ng legit, mura, at original software,
Check out cdkeyoffer.com.
Check out cdkeyoffer.com.
Check out cdkeyoffer.com.
Oh, sup, Pili Magnaye. Thanks for joining me for another stream. You were parang perfect attendance ka na ata. I mean, I'm trying to think of the last time that you missed a stream, but at least for the past couple of streams, I do think that you were there. Sup, Daniel Katapang, another familiar name. Thanks for joining us this Friday evening for another Puwede Magtanong, which we actually did just last week. I do try to do Puwede Magtanong every first Friday of the month, but January was really hectic. We had the giveaway raffle live stream. I went away for a little bit during the middle of the month. Oh, and then one Friday, we couldn't do Puwede Magtanong one Friday because the sponsor asked us to release a video specifically on that Friday. So it kept getting pushed back until it became last Friday of the month. But at least for February, we're back to the usual schedule. Sup, Fritz? Another familiar name. Sup, Aaron? YouTube? Sup, Arvik? Sup, Bern? All right. Bern will start us off with the first tech question of the night. My favorite, which I'm using in my personal rig now, is the Team Group MP33, 1 terabyte. So I've talked about the Team Group SSDs before. They have a bunch of different models. The higher end is the Cardea AZ4L or something. But the MP33 1TB is like, it's really great. I mean, the price is a lot better than the other some of the other SSDs on the market. For example, like the Crucial P5 or the Samsung 990 Pro. And it is reliable. I've talked about it before. The Team Group SSDs don't get a lot of love. I've gotten comments saying that they're no good. The poster, the commenter, had bad experience with them. But based on my experience, the Team Group SSD has been really good. And that's that's not just my experience, but the experience we've had with a wide volume of that SSD. What is popular is the NV2 by, I don't want, is it Kingston? Is it Kingston NV2? Let me check. Wait. Let me pull up Google. Yes, the Kingston NV2. The NV2 series, NV1, NV2 is super popular, but I don't like it personally kasi medyo loosey-goosey si Kingston on what parts they put in. So, parang raffle siya. You're not sure if you're getting a medyo quality naman na components, what the memory that they used in the SSD or not. So, that's what I like about Team Group. Parang consistent naman yung quality nila. Yung NV2, yes, it can be good, but it's kind of like you're playing roulette, you're playing a crapshoot. You're not quite sure if, what you'll be getting. To be fair, the experience we have had with it, as shop to customer, okay naman yung NV2, but in terms of quality control, yun nga, maybe it just might have been good batches. It's hard for me to 100% recommend it just based on the fact that it is kind of well known that Kingston doesn't put a lot of effort into maintaining the quality of that line. It's just like whatever hardware we can get, it matches the basic specs, but in terms of durability and reliability, parang paiba-iba siya. So yeah, my recommendation would be Team Group. Kingston NV2 is also popular, but personally, yun nga, for various reasons, I wouldn't recommend that. Crucial, they have the BX line. I don't actually. I think BX is for the SATA SSDs. Crucial has their P3. Crucial naman is pretty good. P3 okay, but I think it's a bit pricier than the comparative Team Group one. So yeah, Team Group MP33 is good for me. I would love to get to try the Vision Pro. Actually, I most viewers know I'm not a big Apple fan. I don't have any personal products that I use that are Apple. I think that they really abuse their monopoly. I think a lot of their features, like being user friendly, are a bit overhyped. But all of that said, I do like the Vision Pro. I think it does a lot of things that I have personally been thinking that should be in a VR headset. One, it's not VR, it's more AR, so you can still see the outside world, but the icons are displayed in front of you. It uses technology that recognizes where your hand is, but without using controllers. So you just need to you use your actual hand to interact with the icons that you see on your screen. A lot of people have criticized it for kind of like the look. It's not as they think it's going to look good. I think the Vision Pro already looks pretty good for a VR headset. They have the kind of comfortable ski goggles kind of strap thing going on. So, I don't have any experience with it. I actually haven't watched a lot of videos about it, but from what I've heard about it, I would like to try one. If anybody is watching from Apple, send me over one. I'd be really curious to try it. Um I don't like yun nga, from a user perspective, like productivity standpoint, I can see it working. It is a bit pricey, of course. It's virtual, it's an AR VR headset, and there is technology there, right? I mean, it's not like you can say that you're not getting your money's worth. I think there is a lot of innovation there. As a gamer, I think the what's the one after the Vive? Like sorry, this Valve came out with their own VR headset for gaming. So that was a while back. But I think the Vision Pro isn't really about for gaming. It's more for productivity. So unfair to compare it to gaming headsets. I did own a Vive. Sorry, I got to use the Vive before from HTC. Those are pretty good. I mean, I had a good time playing around with them. Although with my current setup, it's hard to really maintain a VR setup because I have an island here in the middle, so I'm just gonna keep bumping into that. And I did like this wall. This is a wall basically right beside me here on my left. I would keep hitting that like out of samurai game, and I would smash the controller into the wall because this current room where I have my PC setup isn't that conducive to VR headset. Is the NMAX the one from ano? Like I have seen other AR headsets in the past, which I have been curious to try, but I don't recognize NMAX um the NMAX brand. I got asked this also last week about Kuri. My personal answer is I don't have any experience with it, so I can't say thumbs up or thumbs down either way. Again, if you're from Kuri, we've got a lot of inquiries about that, especially from Puwede Magtanong viewers. Yeah, send us one. Ha, can you Sup Kaiser? Can you see the line here? Anyway, again, frequent viewers know the story behind that. But yun nga, in Kuri, I don't have personal experience, but I do recall a viewer chiming in last week saying na okay naman. Like there were some YouTubers that do have review videos on that brand. And I think the consensus was okay naman siya for kind of like an entry level monitor. But again, yun nga, that's hearsay on my part. I do not have personal experience. Um I also don't have an experience with this. I have bought secondhand GPUs in the past, but all from the local market. I do not have experience actually buying it from China. I'm not familiar with this brand, DHKJ. Um, for me, like any secondhand part naman sugal yan. Buying it straight from China, if you don't know anyone who's done it before, who can't vouch for that seller, personally for me that's a bit dodgy. Like, you know, weighing like, yes, I'm saving a lot of money, but on the other hand, the card could be a complete flop. So for me, that's too much of a risk. Like I would buy on the local market, even from total strangers, as long as parang medyo legit naman yung posting, okay naman yung price, okay naman kausap. Like I would do that with a total stranger here locally. I have done that a bunch of times. But getting it from China, and then yun nga, you have no experience with that seller. Like you don't have anyone that can vouch for it. It's kind of price. It's kind of iffy for me. Sup, Maverick Hornet. We'll get to your crypto question in a little bit. I am super psyched about crypto in general, like the past 3 months or so. Thank you, Martin Badoy. Sup, thanks for joining us again. Yeah, Team Group MP33. So good. I mean, yun nga, and from personal experience, I have my boot drive is an MP33. Recommended ATX case with good airflow, budget friendly. Montec. We've done a bunch of Montec builds. The Montec Air 100. Yeah, that's it really. Montec Air 100. To be fair, we don't carry it in the shop, but we did review very recently the Dark Flash DS900. Rocky the programmer did that review. And okay naman. Like they do look good. They have good airflow. So based on the review, the limited experience that we have with it, okay naman yung DS900. Although I would still recommend the Montec just because we have sold a ton of them in the shop, and yun nga, we're very familiar, with the quality. To my recollection, we've never had to RMA any of the Montec cases. So Montec, Dark Flash, those would be the recommendations I could do based on personal experience and shop experience. R7 5700X and 700XT. Sure, yeah. Go for it. Yes. I mean, long story short, yes. If you could spend a bit more, the 5700X3D, basically the X3D is the CPU line of AMD where they added more cache to the CPU. Technical stuff aside, it just means that single core applications like games, you can have your CPUs these days have a bunch of cores, like they have multiple cores on them. But actually for gaming, you don't need a lot of cores. And what the X3D, the 3D architecture of AMD allows it to do is that it basically boosts the single core applications like games. Sorry, I don't really have a bad cough, but my throat is a little scratchy today. But yeah, the X3D architecture boosts gaming performance significantly. So if you're going to be using it for both games and work, and you want you and from the specs alone, I can tell that you do want good gaming performance with that GPU, with that CPU. If you can spend a bit more, it's sulit to get the 5700X3D or even step up to a 5800X3D for gaming. F- i- uh, a lot of people say yes. For me, no. I've tackled this question again on previously on Puwede Magtanong. For me, it's nice to have, but I don't go out of my way to get an SSD with it. In fact, all of my SSDs are DRAMless. The MP33 is DRAMless. It's like nice to, and again, it's one of those things that people who are really into PC hardware like to point to, because it's an easy way to show that you're an expert. If you're talking about GPUs, you say it's bottleneck. Oh, parang bottleneck sounds so exotic. You sound like an expert right away. When it comes to SSDs, I feel that the go-to answer, if you want to sound like an expert, is that, you need to get one with RAM. Number one, it's actually kind of difficult to determine which SSDs have DRAM. A lot of the manufacturers don't automatically include that in their specs because they're kind of dodging the question, because sometimes they'll have DRAM depending on supply issues. Sometimes they don't. So they don't want to say it categorically that this model all of the time has DRAM. And second of all, there is a performance boost naman, but yun nga, I feel that the headache that you're putting yourself on, the headache that you can induce on yourself trying to find a DRAM, an SSD with DRAM compared to, yeah, just like going with the flow and getting a DRAMless SSD. I'm pretty sure the NV2 of Kingston also doesn't have DRAM. So yes, it's not super important for me. That is a minority opinion among enthusiasts. And if you're the kind of person that likes to obsess over these things and really call up shops to find a particular model, and that's how you like to spend your time, hats off to you. I mean, that's what gives you pleasure. That's how that ranks as enjoyment for you. Personally, for me, I'm happy with reliability, yun nga, yung durability, yung sigurado ako na hindi mamamatay yung SSD, and Team Group MP33 has checked that box for me, no problem. So my personal opinion, it's not super important. I mean, in the ideal world where, you can find the specs right away, you can find the price right away, you can find the hardware component right away, yun nga, that's the ideal platonic world, right? But in our world, where, to be honest, I would rather spend a lot more of my time focusing on components that I like to obsess about rather than the SSD. It's negligible to me. Answered already. Sup, Kaiser. Yun nga, to be fair, I don't have any experience with either Envision or Kuri. We do have an old video where I got the 3 cheapest gaming monitors of Lazada. They weren't even Envision. They actually have held up pretty well. This is a BenQ gaming monitor, the EX2780Q. You notice it has black lines here. That's not the image. Like whatever I go to, yeah, it's even clearer here on the Hardware Sugar website. That's like burned in already into the monitor. Yeah, frequent viewers, I've commented many times why this has a dark line here. Dark lines, actually, plural. And yes, so I won't repeat that story. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing about it. Sup, John from YouTube. BV500 for a 5600 XT. EVJ is a good brand for PSUs. BV is their lower end one. Like, I want to say yes. Like, you're probably okay, but I would feel so. So you would probably be okay. Like, yun nga. But there is a chance that you could, your games might suck more power. Your GPU might need more power because of the games that you're playing, and the 500 watts might be inadequate. So, I would really prefer 550 or even a 650 watts for an RX 5600 XT. That said, if you've already bought it and you're not experiencing any problems, then you're fine. If you're thinking of a new build or cobbling together like a build from different like secondhand parts, you are running a risk. Personally, I would say it's okay, but ideally, like if you don't want to run that risk, 550 watts, 650 watts would be better. Sup, Yeezer, Yes Oner from YouTube. I have a Gen 4 CPU GPU, but I have a Gen 3 Mobo. Should I upgrade to Gen 4 Mobo or just stick to my Gen 3? Not quite sure what you mean by Gen 4 actually. If you're talking about PCIe 4, that's GPU related. CPU naman, it doesn't, you talk about PCIe lanes, but you don't really use the Gen 4, Gen 3 label. Short answer, you don't need to. Especially for GPUs, like, there is performance, going from PCIe 3 to PCIe 4, no question, there is a performance gain. But the performance gain is more seen in academic or benchmarking settings, like in theoretical artificial benchmarks. In real world applications, you do see a performance increase, but not by that much. Not so much that I would recommend buying a completely brand new motherboard. So you're talking about like setting yourself back maybe 8,000 for a good motherboard. I would just keep that money and save up for something else. Um, if you're looking to increase performance, like you could get a GP, you could save up to upgrade to a GPU, a better GPU and things like that. Yes, you would still have the kind of, you're kind of bottlenecked by the PCIe 3 architecture. But yun nga, in real world applications, the performance loss isn't that great. So I would just save the money. I mean, I wouldn't upgrade. I would save the money and focus on something else. Sup, Zagbot from the internet. From sorry, you said what's up internet. Sup, Zagbot from YouTube. Well, Martin Badoy has Envision with has experience with Envision. 24-inch 1080p 75 hertz. Um, Shout out Paul Christian Torregosa, whom the name is familiar. I might have did I give a shout out in a previous stream or I can't quite remember. Yes, Dances with Waifus. Sup? You haven't heard the story? I would I will tell the story again. But just to a little bit on Martin Badoy's uh comment. To be fair, 75 hertz is a little slow for gaming. Maybe that's why it looked a little weird on War Thunder. Yeah, I remember the Paul Christian Torregosa. Maybe that's why it's familiar. Sup, Balini Cuisine? Thanks for joining us from Facebook. Ha! Okay. Sorry, I thought it was another AR headset. May parang AR headset ako na that I was like kind of idly, briefly considering. It started also with N, but I guess it really depends. Like, are you a motor? What are you a? What do they call the car guys? Like gearhead? Are you a gearhead or are you a PCMR kind of guy? Although Vision Pro is by Apple, so Apple does not join. It's not considered as PCMR. All right, we're gonna get to the question of Maverick Hornet. Um, so I have never had my so sorry guys. This is a crypto question. If you're tuning in for Puwede Magtanong, but I'll answer it very quickly. So I am into crypto. I've done a bunch of live streams on it. We're in the middle of a trilogy of videos about crypto. I'm actually editing the second one now. So Binance is an exchange which you can log on to and you trade cryptocurrency. But the Philippine SEC has threatened to cut our access, our meaning people in the Philippines, access to Binance. Short answer to Maverick Hornet's question: I've never had money. I don't have an account on Binance. I've never traded on Binance. I've never, had any experience in Binance because the exchange that I've done all of my, trading on for the past 10 years or so is Kraken. Um, and just this month, sorry, it's February. Just like a couple of days ago, I started on Bybit for their copy trading, which I will talk more about in on this month's episode of Crypto Watch. But yun, those are the two exchanges that I would recommend now. I do use local exchanges like PDAX and Coins.ph just in case I need to convert some of my pesos into crypto and then transfer them to the exchanges that I use abroad. I do not use a DEX, a decentralized exchange, and I talk about that in the video. Sorry, let me just it's the video, it's the most recent video we did about crypto. Like if you're a beginner and you want to start trading, what are we like how do you go about it? And here. Sorry, I'm just gonna post the link. Like for beginners and you're kind of interested in starting to trade crypto, that is our video on it. Oh, more viewer feedback. Bouncy Bear, using a Kuri monitor for 3 months now. Okay naman. All right, good to hear. Although 3 months is like let's wait like 6 months or a year before we pass judgment. If you're a hardware sugar customer, no, like it has to physically break. I mean, not physically. Like I don't want you to stop your NVMe drive, but I mean, it has to stop. It can't be read anymore or some other error before we can send it back to the supplier, unless the brand has a specific guarantee regarding health. And I'm sure they would specify like a particular program that would determine the health of the SSD. In that case, we'll just follow the brand, and if it's within their time frame, then yes. But if it's from us, like the warranty, it would have to be broken. Sup, Anton? Yup, just me for Pwede Magtanong. Um, it's been a while actually since we had a panel on board. After the pandemic lifted, everybody was like, "Oh, I have my own life," and now I'm sad and alone. Although it is a lot easier to do a monologue rather than having to. To be honest, I got a little stressed having a lot of people on the panel because no, you want to you want to keep it lively and make sure everybody is like engaged. You have to like make sure everybody got their 2 cents in and stuff. So kind of being like a moderator was a little stressful, to be honest. Sup, Ace? How much po 4070 Ti Asus? We don't have the Ace. I know, yes, we should have it. I don't know the exact price. Please message us on Facebook so that we can look up the price. I don't have the price lists with me. But yeah, 850 watts 850-watt PSU, especially if it's 80 plus gold, should be very sufficient for the 4070 Ti, or 4070 Ti, as NVIDIA wants us to call it. Actually, the 40 series cards in general are much more power efficient. That's a benefit that not a lot of people, that doesn't get talked about quite as much, I think, as it should. Not that I'm an Nvidia fanboy, but the power efficiencies, like you compare the 4060 to the 3060, a lot more efficient, and that's kind of generally true over the whole 40 line. I guess that is one way. Although this is a 27-incher, and I do have 4 monitors, so I feel na I don't need to like subdivide this. Although the power toys that you mentioned, I think it's called. I mean, I do use it. I have several videos on just how to use multiple monitors and how to set them up properly. The power toy in question is Fancy Zones, and I do, yeah, I have it installed. I use it every day, and I do have a video where, because I do have 4 monitors, and it becomes a pain in the ass where you have to manually open them. So now I have a button here on my Stream Deck, on my Elgato Stream Deck. I just press a button, and then all of the different windows, like my browser here, my Viber here, my YouTube window there, and my other browser here, Brave browser, all of that like just snaps into place automatically. So it saves me a lot of time in the morning or whenever I have to boot up. Because I do shut down my computer. I'm not the kind of guy who leaves his computer on 24/7. Actually, for me, it's like if I'm not using it, my primary monitor is turned off, but not really turned off. Again, if you watched that video, I switch it to a dead input. So the monitor goes black, but the monitor is still on. And like whenever possible, like I'm not using my computer, I will turn it off. I want to save electricity, and also, just I don't know. Mabilis naman mag-boot up ngayon ng Windows with an SSD. So I don't really feel I need to have it on all of the time. Plus again nga with the one press button setup I did on my Stream Deck, it's quite easy to go from a brand new startup to having all of my windows in place quite quickly. That is true. But I have never, like, my SSD has never died on me. My oldest SSD is a Crucial MX500, so that is a bit of a more pricier SSD, but it's been with me for years, man, years. And I actually I use it for my games because my before I didn't have an NVMe on my old computer, but I did have the MX500. God, I killed the mosquito. And now I use that SSD drive for my games, saving the NVMe for Windows and like other programs I want to run fast, like DaVinci Resolve. And yeah, it's still kicking like years later. And like I'm not a power user, but I turn my PC on every day for sure. There's a lot of read write going on there to that MX500, but it is still very darn good. I think more than the brand, it's more like the model of the GPU in question. Although, I mean, that being said, of course, like an ROG probably would have a higher resale value than, like, say, for example, Colorful or even Gigabyte. But for GPU, I think the factor that goes into resale value more would be the model. Ultra wide monitor with 1440 display. The the latest ultra wide I tried is beautiful. It's a QD quantum dot OLED. The ROG PG49WCD. Although I think it does go above. I think it's 4K. I think. So it does go above 1440p. Um, the other ultra wide that I personally got to try was also from Asus. Let me check. But I kind of hesitate to recommend it because it kind of an old model. Like I got to try it out pa nung pandemic. So it is an older. The ROG XG349C. I think that's a 2K monitor. That's a 1440p monitor. 34 inches. Might be more doable than the PG49WCD, which is a beautiful monitor, but of course, it is a bit pricey being OLED and fast refresh rate, and it's like they call it like a super ultra wide or something. It's like really pero maganda yung PG49WCD. The XG349C maganda rin naman. It is still being sold. But yun nga, maybe you might find a different brand with a more updated model. Those are just the two ultra wides kasi that I personally have had a lot of experience on. So those are the ones that come to mind. Okay, yeah. See, this is where I thought you were talking about the 4070 Ti, but you actually want the 4070 Ti Super. We don't have the Asus stuff yet one. Let me check. Actually, we had a 4080 Super custom order from the shop and a 4070 Super, which we're gonna stock, but none of the 4070 Ti Super, which is, I don't know. You'd have to message and we try to find it. We'd have to like see who has it and what's available. We do in the shop. I do in my own house, but I don't really dump a lot of files onto the NAS. I need to find time to carve out and get to play around with the NAS. But both of the NAS we have, both in shop and in my house now, actually, I'm just pointing it down there. It's just like on the floor there, are from TerraMaster, which we got to review. They sent us the NAS for review, and both of our reviews are up on the site. Are up on the channel. Pretty good. And I have very limited experience with NAS, but I found them to be pretty good. Yep. All right, it's past the 30-minute mark. I will just play the ad again. Sorry. Catch you after the break.
Sawa ka na ba sa unactivated Windows mo? Well, lucky you! Pinakabago mula sa cdkeyoffer.com. Windows 10 and Windows 11 activation codes. Legit, safe, at pinakamura. Madali lang umorder.
Hanapin ang Windows version na gusto mo. Piliin ang preferred payment method. Wala pang 5 minutes, nagsiligi ka na para sa Windows mo.
Marami na kaming natulungan.
Dati, sad and depressed ako. But now, I found the love of my life.
Dati, aimless and walang purpose ang life ko. But now, I'm a world-class Zumba instructor.
So, web developer ako and content creator for a YouTube channel. And ngayon, ganun pa rin ako pero activated na yung Windows ko.
Kaya kung naghahanap ka ng legit, mura, at original software,
Check out cdkoffer.com.
Check out cdkoffer.com.
Check out cdkoffer.com. All right, on with the questions. Paul from Facebook, is it normal na mag-ground yung CPU ko pag patay pero pagbukas na mawala? Wala akong AVR, nakasalpak lang sa extension. Then pansin ko din pag inopen ko yung CPU, when I open my computer, when he turns on his computer, late nag-open yung RAM ko. Late, it won't turn on if it doesn't have RAM. So I'm assuming when you mean late nag-open yung RAM, like you have RGB RAM and the lights don't turn on right away. I wouldn't worry about it as long as it boots up and you can check in Windows na tama naman, like you have 16 gigabytes and it shows up in Windows that you have 16 gigabytes. I wouldn't worry too much about the RGB being a little delayed. Grounding in general is not normal. So if you touch any metal part of any component, whether it is the case of your computer, whether it's a monitor, because we have had cases where instances where customers have gotten grounded on their monitors. Any instance of grounding is not usual, but sometimes it's just really hard to figure out. For the most common is from a case, and usually some wire is dumping excess electricity into the case, and so that's what causes the grounding. So you might want to try rewiring it internally, like if you're comfortable opening up your computer and just kind of adjusting the wires inside, making sure all of like the socket, the plug in the back of the computer is firmly secure. It can be a challenge to get rid of the grounding, to be honest. And it is one of those things that I would say just live with it. Like you turn on your computer, you don't usually need to touch the case after that. So you should be fine. Like even if there is some current. Sorry, I got it confused. When your PC is turned on, then you don't get grounded. Yeah, well, in general, if just don't touch the case. I mean, when it's off. Usually the buttons kasi are not metal. So do you even get grounded even when you press the button, the on button? In that case, that would be annoying. Although yun nga, easily remedied. Like you just don't touch it with your finger. Like get something and kind of, touch it with that. So I mean, yun nga, it's not normal, but it's not the end of the world. 5600X, sup, Yezer again. Yes, 5600X CPU, 3070 Ti GPU, still good in 2024 for 1080p and 2K gaming. Yeah, as always, it depends on what games you're playing. But in general, that setup, and for 1080p and 1440p, I don't think you would have any problems. What's up, Dave Matthew? We'll get to your question. I'll just go through the earlier ones first. Thrifts from YouTube. Have we encountered a monitor issue where distorted horizontal lines and partial black screen occurs when frequency is set more than 120 hertz? No. I am also not familiar if the AOC 24G2E is rated beyond 120 hertz. You could try updating the firmware of the monitor, and see if that solves it. Like usually when we see lines like that, like black lines and just general distortion of the screen, that usually means the monitor is failing regardless of the refresh rate that you have it set on. And again, actually it's a convenient example. Wait, can see it better when I change the ano. So this monitor has like several black lines, vertical black lines in the middle. I've been using it for a little while now actually. Di ko napapansin kung dumadami yung black lines. Although yun nga, I am anticipating that eventually this monitor will fail. I had an old Asus monitor, medyo matagal na. And then yun, it started out with screen distortions and then eventually the display just failed. So in general, that is a worrisome sign. But yeah, you could try updating like firmware and things like that. Maybe that will solve the problem. We do try to stock it regularly. I think we can get it as a custom order. I do recall that Russ, who is sort of nominally in charge now of stocking of inventory, it used to be me for a very long time, but just last month we transitioned it to Russ. I know that he was trying to get the 5800X3D, but medyo nahirapan because most of our supplies were out. But I think we can get it again, and we do try to stock it when it is available. Oh, I got another crypto question. We'll get to it. I agree. 850 watts is quite a lot already. For me, like 750 watts is enough. Oh, but like with that said, I hasten to say that I wouldn't recommend using 700 watt or 750 watt with a 4090. I mean, you're getting a race source. You want. Sorry, I'm trying to think of an apt analogy. Yeah, but basically you're getting something super fast. You don't want to hobble it by when it needs power to run its fastest and your PSU just can't deliver. And if you have a 4090, you might as well also get an ATX for um PSU. There are a lot of improvements under the hood, especially for the 4000 series for the 4000 series GPU. Sorry, my mind was like my mind blanked out a little bit. But yes, I mean, if you're at that product tier level, just spend a little bit more for the for your 4090. I do enjoy that. Like, I'll be honest. Like, when I press a button on my stream deck and like, foo, foo, foo. It's like, no, it is fun. No need to go nuts for the 5700G. Get a decent 1080p, a 4060, or one of the 7000 series of AMD. Yeah. So no need to complicate things. If you need like a step lower, like than that, like a step lower than the 4060 or the 7000 series GPUs, like I would recommend like a secondhand 6000 series from AMD if you can find one. Those are pretty good value for money even then, and they're even better value for money now. If you can find a good one secondhand. Not ata in the shop, but we can get it as custom order. Wait, let me check. I'm checking now. Like, um, yeah, no, we don't have the Aorus B550M. But yes, we can get it as a custom order, but we don't have it on stock now. Good CPU for a 4070 Super. Yes, I know what you mean. Yung parang CPU comparable if the R5 3600 came out late 2020. Well, you don't want to. I mean, I always say that people overhype bottleneck, but at the same time, you have a good card, 4070 Super. You might as well get something a bit within its league. So, a 5600 or even a 5600X. I mean, ideally, you would get something like the 5700X3D or even the 5800X3D. But yeah, you can get like a 5600X from the AMD side. From the Intel side, like you're asking about price. So 13th gen pa rin because hindi ganun kalayo yung prices ng 13th gen and 14th gen, and the performance is the performance difference is kind of negligible. So maybe I get like a 13600K or something to pair with that one. All of these things, I mean, they cost a little bit of money. Like it's a little of a bit of a stretch to say na budget kahit na yung 5,600. Although yun nga, based on our price watch, we do have an episode every month where we track all of the prices of the big four PC retailers. The price of the 5600X has been going down. So I mean there is that. But I would hesitate to call it as, like a truly budget CPU. But yeah, but I wouldn't pair naman a 4070 Super with like a 5500. It's like medyo, I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of like the whole bottleneck debate, but even I would like, kind of cringe at that. Kraken is not regulated by our SEC, but Kraken is a lot more under the radar. So I feel that our SEC wouldn't bother with them. I mean, it is a very big exchange, but it's not like top of mind. Like um, when you say an exchange, you automatically think Binance. Kraken is not top of mind, even among the traders abroad. Best way to remove an AMD stock cooler without ripping the CPU. Okay, we'll get to that. John Oliver from Facebook, normal lang po ba yung GPU coil whine? Yeah, coil whine, either GPU or PSU, is kind of like when you get grounded. It's not normal, but it happens often enough that hindi siya nakakagulat. And just like, a grounding situation, it is a real pain in the ass to try to figure out how to stop coil whine. So it is not normal, but it's not something that it's not the end of the world. It's not something that I would generally stress out about. Um, Especially because if it usually only happens when the GPU is under load, and that's when you're gaming. And when you're gaming, rest assured that the sounds you'll be hearing will be explosions, people screaming, and things like that. Your ears will have better things to worry about rather than the coil whine of the GPU. I think it is unnecessary in the sense that I don't really like. I was reading about it before, and to be honest, like I can't even distinguish. Like hindi siya tumatak with me na ma-distinguish ko off the top of my head like what the new it's a core series versus the old style way of doing it, the i5, 14600K or whatever. Yeah, so I researched about it before, but it was so the difference was so minimal that I can't even remember now what they were going for. So I think if as a means to distinguish the products, they needed something more distinctive, like completely separate. Because parang they still use the nomenclature, the nomenclature of the old ones, and they kind of separated it. And yun nga, it's not good. It's not good because it's not clear. I think it just muddies the water some more. So yeah, whoever is doing their naming thing, I'm not a big fan of that. Yung masama lang na epekto is on you, on the user if you get grounded. There is no effect that I know on the hardware. Like it won't, it's not running down your CPU, your PSU, hindi nakakasama sa motherboard and things like that. I have not heard of any study or any even anecdotal experience where there is a ground in the system and that causes long-term effects on the hardware. Rune 2, no, we can do it as installment. Yeah, you can do custom orders as installment. You just have to come back because like you installment, you can either do it through our site, and that's Billy's. So you can do it online, but most installments are via credit card. That one you do need to come into the shop. So you'll need to come into the shop to swipe your card for the installment, and then after that you need to come back again to the shop after we get your item in. Unless you pay for delivery, which you can do naman. But yeah, that's no problem. Custom orders paid via installment, completely fine. Philemon Mangahas from YouTube. I do not use RGB in my rig, so actually I have very little practical knowledge on it. Like I have seen the RGB builds in the shop. I played around with some of them, but I haven't. Yeah, I don't have any RGB on my rig. So I don't have a lot of experience with the RGB software. Although for me, I would tend to choose software and products that don't require third party software like the Corsair IQ or even Lian Li. Like I prefer like the deep cool stuff. Usually you can use a bunch of different RGB software with deep cool hardware and with some of the other brands. It's just usually the yung mas hoity-toity na mas expensive, mas premium like NZXT and Corsair that requires you that sticks you into their RGB software setup. So I would choose brands that would that you can use with open type RGB software like Open RGB. Um, so if I were going with an RGB build, that's what I would recommend and keep in mind. Sup, Lazy Cable Manager? Very slowly. That's rather and kind of like don't rip it off. Like don't rip it off like top like bottom rising upward. I would try to kind of slide it off. Um, is what I would do. Sup, Casey Boyos? We'll get to your question in a bit. Um, go for it. Like even with a 4080, I would 4080 and a comparable CPU, still very good with a 750 watt PSU. I would only recommend like above 750 if you're getting like a 4090 or if you're having like a 4080 and like a bonker CPU like the 4900K from Intel for example. But you can go really far with a 750 watt. Just to illustrate, I have a 750 watt 80 plus gold PSU from FSP on my current rig. I'm running a 3080, which I think power efficiency wise it draws more power than the 4080 because you got older gen. And I'm running a 5900X, which is a pretty high end CPU. And also so it uses can use a lot of power also. I've had no problems with the 750 watt PSU from FSP. So you can go really far with that. You can? Yep. Yes. Thank you, Christopher Makuto, referring to the podcast episode. It's up on the channel now. The title is "The Internet Cafe is Dead. Long Live the Internet Cafe." And in general, like I'm really having a lot of fun with doing the podcast episodes. Yung nga, long time viewers have heard me talk about it extensively in other shows on other live streams. So I won't jump. I won't like do it again. Best offer for overall diagnosis on a system unit. Like you do need to use a bunch of software. Like I like using CPU Z and GPU Z just so that you can properly monitor and you can check like you're actually getting the proper CPU. I mean that's just the number one basic thing. Like you like say you bought secondhand item, then you pop in the CPU, tapos it's a different CPU pala. You and then you do need software to stress test the components, usually CPU and GPU. So we use Cinebench, we use Firmark, we use Heaven. So there are a bunch of programs that we use for our diagnostics. So unfortunately, there isn't just one program. TimeSpy for 3D. What's the full name of TimeSpy? 3D Mark TimeSpy. Yeah, so we do use a bunch of programs to for diagnosis to stress test. So it's unfortunately there's not just one program that can do it all. ViewSonic, yeah, they're pretty good. Price wise, they're not like super budget, but they're not also extremely expensive as well. They're usually pretty good value for money. My again, it's hard to see, but my monitor here, I had an old gaming monitor from ViewSonic. Sobrang tagal na nito. It is still running now. I don't use it for gaming anymore, but it is one of my secondary monitors. I have it tilted up, so it also had like a built-in tilt. So I tilted it up, so it's in portrait mode, and I use it for my chat, my Slack chat with everybody at Hardware Sugar. Is I yes to Anton Monitor Fund. I need a PG49 WCD in my life. My laptop. My laptop is in Asus One. Sorry, let me I did have just recently. I did you I forget the model. So it's not a gaming laptop, but it's very good for what I needed to do. I even do rough edits on it. And I specifically got it because it's OLED. This is the review video we did a couple of months back. The model is there. So it's a 15-incher from Asus. And it's a touchscreen. So it's not on now. Like my desktop, like my laptop, I just turn it off when I don't need it. But it is touchscreen and it is like a flip screen. And a lot of a lot of laptop reviewers kind of poo-poo that na parang it's just a gimmick. What you're gonna use it for? Na it flips up all the way and it's touchscreen. But for my needs, I really enjoy having that added functionality because you wanna watch videos on it. You can lay it down like this, and then um like it's much better on the lap. You can also use it like a tablet like this, and then the screen does it automatically and things. So I did pay a bit more for like the touchscreen and the OLED, but for my use case, this is not a gaming laptop. I don't game on it. I prefer to do all of my gaming on my desktop. But I am out a lot more now with the kids. Like I need to bring my eldest to school, and I do have a part-time job now at the school and things like that. This laptop is super convenient. Thank you, Den's Corner, for the sub. Yeah. Actually, if I could ask you a question, what video did or live stream or whatever did you come across na that convinced you to start watching us? Like that would be I'd be curious about that. Hmm. The tables have turned. Sup, lazy cable manager? Speaking of my eldest, I do hear her soon. And again, longtime viewers know that that is usually how the stream ends when my 3-year-old comes rushing through that door. Thank you. We do try to provide value to our subscribers, to the followers by giving good tech advice and just being honest in general. Like, if we review something, we actually used it. We actually spent time on the review, and having we have speaking of spent time on, we have a video coming out tomorrow. It drops tonight for members. Na 24 build tips in 2024. It took a bit longer than I wanted. Like I wanted it to come out sana in January because it's the kind of thing that you release at the start of the year. But yeah, we have a bunch of tips there. 24 tips. I think it's a good video. It packs a lot of value. So there's a lot of info there na useful both to beginners and enthusiasts. But the language, like we really tried to make sure na accessible siya, as with all of our videos. So I'm actually in the middle of last minute edits on that. Ren did the main edit, and I'm doing some last minute edits. But the members will have that up by tonight, and then it drops to the public tomorrow. Grabe naman Casey Bolios, parang napaka that seems very um it seems like a very businessman like question, and I don't fancy myself a businessman like with all of these 1-year plans and things like that. For 2024, like to be honest, I just wish the shop would make money. The shop has never made money, like God's honest truth. I'm always borrowing money from people to keep the shop going. It has so many expenses. And like, to be honest, just like between us, I am kind of tired of the shop. It is such a headache keeping track of suppliers, keeping track of like, hey, we ordered a 4070. How come we're out of 4070s now? Where did that GPU go? I mean, it's such a pain in the ass. Dealing with RMAs and all of that. And then and then and then to top it all off, it's not even profitable. I mean, just to be fully transparent, and I keep having to borrow from my own funds and things like that. So like my only goal for 2024 for the channel for the shop is for it to be profitable sana. Like we can get out of the red, kind of stabilize, and from there maybe in 2025 like um have branch out, like have a new branch, because running a PC shop, and like the way we want to do it, like we're really focused on customer service. We don't I don't know, it's really tiring, man. I apologize. I like this isn't like a Linus moment, like he's like super tired and whatever. But it weighs heavily on my mind. It is constantly like, to be honest, I make more money with my crypto trading than I do from the shop. At least the crypto trading is in the green. The shop has always been in the red. But to be fair, kasi to the shop, we plow it back into the shop. Our employees ask for more money, we give them more money. Like, hindi naman masama loob ko, guys. But yeah, the employees ask for more money. We move to a larger place. I mean, the money that we make from the shop gets spent back into the shop. But like, just for 1 year, sana, like, I would like, because people are making money from the shop. Our employees are paid well, I think. Sometimes they disagree, then they ask for more money. But yeah, we have a bunch of employees. I think they're paid really well. For the kind of work environment that I try to foster and the kind of work that I ask them to do. Um, so I wish for this year that I would make some money from the shop. And again, so enough with that. I mean, it is. I hate these kind of like people who go online. It's like, oh, pity me, kawawa naman ako, and that we're it's not that kind of channel. I'm not that kind of person. But that is my simple goal for the shop for 2024. Now we get out of the red. For the channel, and again, like being completely honest with the channel, I feel that our latest videos have not been as popular as the old ones. I feel like I've lost some of my old mojo in terms of just getting to sit down and like really script out videos that I think would be popular, because I do like seeing the videos popular, not for my own ego. Because yeah, I mean, again, at this point, like, I mean, there's my ego has been stroked enough by reaching, silver play button, by having the podcast. I mean, the podcast like really does well compared to how it was doing before, because I took the time to sit down and kind of like think of what would be what I'm interested in, but also maybe what's also of value. Like, these are stories that are not being told, and I feel that it's super of value to the local audience and even audiences abroad that might be interested in the local tech scene to hear about those stories. Um, but yeah, so like lately, I feel that the videos haven't been up to par just in terms of performance. I think the content is there, but like when we do clickbaity, uh when we do clickbaity thumbnails, like the latest Price Watch episode last month where I'm just holding up a Coke bottle, that did really well. Like, the content is the same, but just because we came up with a kind of like a snappy title and a thumbnail, more people watched and people enjoyed it. People didn't complain it was clickbaity. So I think it is just for the channel for 2024. It's kind of getting the old mojo back, na more views, and whether that means content. Um, Although I feel like the content quality is kind of the same, maybe being like a little snappier with the edits, a little faster with the edits, maybe finding titles and thumbnails that resonate more. And also, yeah, just in general, having videos that are more like beginner centric. Like, we know it's popular, but it's hard to do it. Like, one video a month na beginner centric, one big video a month na deep dive into something, things like that ba. I think those would be goals for the channel. But again, like, I feel like I'm really stretched, not just with work, like with the shop and with the channel, but with also my personal life, because my kids are so young. I do want to spend time with them. Like, I don't get to game as much anymore. I don't get to read as much. But that's just how it is. Like, where I am with my life, that I have so many different things going on. That I do have certain goals, but like actually sitting down and like, okay, let's do this. It's a little, I know, but you know I'm having fun naman, and I think at the end of the day, that's super important. And all of the things that I'm pouring my time into, whether it's the shop or the channel or my kids or my crypto trading, I feel naman are very valuable to me, like as a person and as whatever. Like, I think they enrich my life. So I'm not complaining about the things that I do, but I do wish that I had more time to slow down. And maybe that should be my ultimate goal in 2024. um I think this my little speech just now maybe answered the question. It is a real pain in the ass to open up a PC shop. I'm not gonna lie. You gotta love the space before you open it, or either that or I'm just a bad businessman. Which again, I am honest enough with myself that maybe I am just really yes a bad businessman. I actually did a video on this. What I like about the channel is a lot of the time, like I have a question and I actually get to experiment on it. Let me. So this is the UPS. Like the thumbnail literally says ilang VA kailangan, like the spec of the UPS. Um, I would just recommend watching this video. But long story short, I would generally recommend like a 1,200 VA or a 1,500 VA UPS. And for a lot of setups, that is completely okay na. Okay, we're just gonna skip around a little bit. No, 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 no. I will not cheat on my PG48 UQ. The Samsung ones are usually pretty good. Although you need to be careful because with Samsung, they also have the panel type that they use. Because once I've tried OLED, I can't go back. Um, Samsung does have OLED panels, but they also have like these very large ultra wides na VA type panels. So I wouldn't get those. So the Samsung 24-inch S3, I think maybe that's entry level. I haven't had any experience with it. In general, Samsung monitors are okay naman, but a bit pricey. You can see the reflection of my primary monitor here with the glass behind me. I answered this a while ago. As far as I know, no. Like it doesn't matter. Like the static electricity or it's actually I don't iba kasi yung static sa ground. Like if you're getting if you're getting sorry, the experience feels the same, but iba yung static electricity caused by like the rubbing of things or there's a charge compared to like it got a charge from like current. I think that's different. But the painful effect can be the same. But either way, either the static, well, okay, the ESD, the electrostatic discharge, yes, can destroy components. That's why you're supposed to ground yourself or let the current from you flow out into something metal before touching anything. So ESD, yes, can destroy things, but it has to be really high levels of ESD. And LTT has a video where he tests that out painfully, like what level of static electricity would damage a component. But like the ground, like because there's current flowing through it, some excess current. I have never heard of it destroying a PC. And you have a very nice monitor now, Leah Magnaye. Yes, that's true. We don't a lot of times you don't actually have a physical ground, like the one that actually nakabaon sa lupa, like ground talaga, like literally ground. Thank you, Smash the Omelette, and good to see you again. Yes, the 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 LTT had a video with Electro Boom. Yep. No naman, no naman. Still hanging in there, still hanging in there. Yeah, do you see Logan in the background? Um, he is a frequent. The dog is a frequent guest on our live streams. All right, so I do have to go because I still need to finish editing the 24 build tips video, and two, I have to make dinner, which I told myself I would do by 6 o'clock prior to the stream, but I had to do the edit. I actually there are like a bunch of things that I felt kulang pa sa video. That's why I'm putting them in now. So I will do one last question from Patty Mills, and then I am tapping out for the night. But please do check out the video tomorrow. 24 build tips for 2024. And Patty's question is, yung motherboard ba nagkakaroon ng password sa BIOS? May chance ba bang magamit yun? I did not know actually you could put a password through the BIOS. I have very limited experience with this. On a theoretical level, I think the brand, so you send it back to either Gigabyte or Asus or whoever, can wipe that. Um, and you could try like a firmware update, like a BIOS update. Because there are some BIOS updates that you can do without having to go through BIOS. I think, right? Yeah, you can just the one with the, I forget what they call it, but you use the USB and then you tell it to read the USB first. I don't kasi usually do that. I still update through the BIOS even though the mobile has that functionality. Sorry, long story short, I don't know. I think you could probably get your brand to try to wipe it. If you can get the shop that you bought it from to send it back, and the brand is willing. I don't know. There are a lot of ifs, but maybe. All right. I know it has been it's hour 11 on my on the stream countdown. Yun. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks for having me on a Friday night. This has been Puwede Magtanong, episode 47, I think. Yeah, a whole bunch of content still dropping. You're gonna see me like for the next 7 days straight, whether it's a video or a live stream or a gaming stream. Also because the sponsor asked us to do like a bunch of them like early on in the month, so we're happy to comply. Yeah, so enjoy the weekend. See you guys. Thank you.